an increasing opportunity curve. So draw another graph, label your X and your Y. Okay. How many goods can be produced for one graph? How many goods are or there's one right here. You can use this one. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just go ahead and draw two graphs real quick. Label your X and your Y. And then this one is going to be your constant. Okay, this is Y. Yeah, remember Y is the one standing up. And this is going to be increasing, okay? So go ahead and draw the line for, it's the wrong direction. Straight this way. Yeah. Okay, and then this one is the concave. All right. So that we know that the increasing opportunity curve, those are not easily adaptable, right? Okay. Do y'all have like an example for what not easily adaptable would be?
Computers and desks.
What?
Computers and desks.
Yeah, computers and desks would be. I mean, you might have like screws in both, but like they're completely different. That's a good example. Okay. So given there's 4 key assumptions, I want y'all to go ahead and write down 4 key assumptions. Do y'all remember what those are when we're remembering graphs? Okay. How many goods can be produced for one graph? How many goods are we looking at?
2.
2, that's correct. So that's your first key assumption. Only 2 goods can be produced. Okay. We also know going in that we are looking at a full employment of resources. No matter what, no matter where we land on the line, we're always going to use a full employment of resources in order to make 5 desks and 2 computers, or 7 computers and 0 desks. Either way, no matter which way we go on the graph, we are always going to be using a full employment of our resources. The third one is their fixed resources. We only have so many. Do y'all remember what that law is? When you only have so much of something?
Scarcity?
Yes, that's the law of scarcity. And the fourth assumption is that we have fixed technology.
What was the first one?
Fixed technology. Okay. Now, given your 4 assumptions that you have in mind, what are the 3 things that can shift your graph? Your increasing opportunity graph. What is something that can change that? That can move it upwards or move it inwards? What can shift the line? What?
More resources?
Yes. A change in resource quantity or quality can shift your graph line. What's something else? You mentioned computers. What's something else that can shift the line?
Better technology.
Technology. So depending on what you're using, maybe a magnet could help, yes. But the main idea here is technology.
Sorry.
Better technology helps us produce things faster and we can get them out faster. An assembly line of people can only produce so many things, but assembly line ran by machines can produce a lot more. An increase in technology is always the way to go if we want to increase more of what we're producing. And the last one, this is something that is more of a global. What do we do in order to increase production? What can change that shift?
Country affairs.
So what do we consider that when we're working with another country? What do we consider it?
Trades.
Trade, that's correct. So
Tariffs.
that's your third one. Kind of what we're, yeah. And that can make it shift inwards for another country. Let's see. Mr. Smith, are y'all ready? Okay. You don't need your computers. Does everybody have a pencil?
Yes.
Do you have a pencil?
No.
Let me go grab you one real quick. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. I just want y'all to go ahead and draw 2 graphs for me real quick. Label your X and your Y. And you can do one, you can do side by side or one underneath the other. Either way is best for you. Just these are going to be your notes. All right, y'all are going to need your computers because we're going to jump in your modules when we're done looking at these maps. And it's going to be your Census 2020 module. We're going to go over the census information because it's going to be coming out and going to be mailed to your houses next week. And we really want y'all to understand what it's about so that you're ready to help your family fill it out and get it sent in. Do y'all know what the census is?
People live in the household or something?
Right, it is. It's pretty much a survey, and they're going to ask you some questions. They want to know how many people live in your household, your names and age, that kind of thing, so they can put together data. They're not going to ask any other kind of information like citizenship or anything like that. Everything is really confidential. All of the information that you provide is sealed for 72 years. So the only thing that we're going to be getting out of this is going to be the data. Do you know what they use the census data for? Well, no, I mean, they do. It helps them understand the population trends that are going on. But the census data allows us to understand population because population is directly, you good? All right. Population is directly linked to how many state representatives that we have. So that allows us to figure out our representation, but it also allows us to understand where funds are going to go. So the funds that come to, let's say, Pasadena is going to be based on how many people live in Pasadena, how many people are going to go to school here. So it's really important that you fill it out so that the school gets the funding that it needs to handle all of the people that are here. Because let's say not everybody fills this information out, they're still going to be coming to school here. But Pasadena won't get as much money as it needs to handle that population size. So that's why it's so important for us here as a school district so that we get the funding that we need. But it's also really important for the state as a whole because it's what determines our representation. So if we look at the map, let's see, right here, turn it over where you see the United States as a whole, just big old map of the United States. We're going to see little graphs on the side right here, and we've got Puerto Rico here as well. And it's going to show us things like the percentages of people that speak a language other than English at home. So which one is at the top? Puerto Rico. Which one is at the bottom? West Virginia. Okay. Now let's turn it around. All right. Now, West Virginia is going to be up here. Okay. Now, right here on these squares right here, you're going to see that it's divided into races. So West Virginia is the state that has the least amount of bilingual people. What is the number one race in West Virginia that you can tell? If you looked at all of them. It is. So the white population in West Virginia is much higher. But what about, let's see, where's the Hispanic population mostly at? In the South? Why do you think that that's the highest area? Because of the borders? So what about African American? Where are they mostly? Right. They're going to be mostly down here. What's a trend that you notice when you look at the white population map and you look at the black or African American population map? What's the trend there?
What do you mean by trend?
So what do we see that might be correlated? What might be linked? If you were to put these two maps together, what would we notice? Here's the white population.
That empty space will be filled by the black.
Right. So if that empty space right there is African Americans, and this empty space right here in the African American map, that's where all the white population mostly is, then what's the trend there? What do we notice?
There's a lot of white people.
Right. They're not living around the area that's clustered is not the same area that's clustered down here. So we really get to see a lot of interesting things going on here in the United States just based on the census maps. It allows us to understand the demographics, maybe even the demographics of the school area. What about if we go over here? Right here, look on this graph, the one that's going by age. So there's a lot of information that we can see there, even information that you can pull from your other history classes. What is the two age groups that are the highest in here? We're going to see two surges. What are the two age groups?
50 to 54. 20 to 50.
Right, so we're going to see from the 20s to about 30 to 35, there's a surge right there in population. But we're also going to see that at around 45 to about 60, 65 years old, there's also another surge there. So there's two booms of population. Do y'all remember what one of those booms is called? The baby boomers. So that's a pretty big stretch of time period that those baby boomers fit into. Given this age group, do any of y'all know about how old your parents are? She's in her 30s?
I'm a
Okay.
baby boomer.
You're a baby boomer? My mother-in-law is a baby boomer. I actually fit into this other section right here, which is also a pretty big gap too. That's because the baby boomers all had children. So you had this big surge in population during the baby boomer generation. So it would only make sense that there's going to be another big surge when those baby boomers are ready to have children themselves. So I'm the child of a baby boomer. I also fit into this second boom that we see down there. This is why it's so important to look at the census. We understand so many things in history that come together and play into our present day lives. So go ahead and jump onto your modules.
It says it's protected by law, 72 years, it's sealed.
Whether they are related to me or not, I would still count them. So then it's going to go over to question 2. Were there any additional people staying here on April 1st that you did not include? And it's going to give examples. So there's children, related or unrelated, such as newborn babies, grandchildren, or foster children. Remember, newborn babies might still be at the hospital, so someone's thinking when they're filling it out, well, they're not here in my home, but they are going to live with them, so yes, that still counts. Relatives, non-relatives, people staying there temporarily, those all count as people that are in your home. Every person in my home is accounted for. Okay? So let's go ahead and jump in to the Atlas section of your module. When you jump in, it's going to give you a couple of questions that you're going to answer based on a city of your choosing. The first city that you're going to choose is going to be Pasadena. But before you do that, do any of y'all ever want to move out of Pasadena? Do y'all want to live somewhere else in the United States?
No.
Yeah, where?
I want to go to Florida.
You want to go to Florida? Okay. Pick a city or an area in Florida and put that down as your second place.
Well, actually, if I moved, I'll move to Tennessee.
Tennessee? So find a place in Tennessee to look around. Okay. Anywhere in the United, make sure it stays in the United States. The census is for the United States. So if you would move out of here. Huh? If you don't want to move, choose a city that's around this area. Just remember, people, they stay around, like if they were born in Pasadena, they might want to stay around Pasadena, but it might be more beneficial for them to find somewhere to live in Houston or find somewhere to live in Baytown. But yet they're still technically close to Pasadena. That's what's so great about Houston. You have all these sub-cities that you can live in, but still be next to your hometown if you wanted to.
This is like the average in like years.
Okay, so see this section right here on the top right of your map? We're going to see some sliders. You can slide for income. I'm sorry, I can't see. Race. And I can't see that second.
And then be a female or.
Okay, and gender.
Yeah.
So if you're a female and you want to see, I'm curious how much a female who is white and is making $50,000 a year, I would like to see how many of them are in the area in which I live. What are my opportunities to make that much money in the city that I chose? So yeah, you might want to stay in Pasadena, but what if the opportunities for you are not there? Are you looking? Well, since you're sharing, you're going to have him look at for the city that you want to look forward to. Make sure y'all choose 2 different cities. You're both going to do Pasadena, but you still need to have 2 different cities as your second city. I'm going to have you write that down on paper.
She wants to do 2 separate ones.
No, you're going to do Pasadena. Everybody's doing Pasadena as their one city. So you're going to answer the same questions that he's answering, but your second city is going to be a different city. So if he's willing to let you use his computer with him, that's fine, but you need to find a second city and answer the same questions that he's answering on that. Make sure to check different pay scales. Every one of you has a pathway.
Oh.
We already,
By our pathway?
you don't have to,
Where do you put it?
but you're going to be graduating and have certificates and be able to join the.
Okay, so then mine would be.
Okay, so how much, what is your pathway? Let's just start there for
Well,
an
I'm in
example.
pharmacy,
Pharmacy.
but I want to do like
Are you
nurse
wanting-
practitioner.
Nurse practitioner. Okay, so you're wanting to go. Okay. So let's say, what do you have it at right now? Okay, did you change this at all? Are you white, non-Hispanic?
I went to Hispanic and then I went back to white. And
Okay, so let's check for you. Are you Hispanic?
yes.
Okay, so, and then you have it under female? Okay. So look in the area.
So I'm not moving to Tennessee anymore.
What the heck? Their income is
So-
so cheap.
How many people who fall under your demographics are making that much money?
Not that many
Not that many.
at all.
Don't let that stop you from moving to an area. That just might be, look on your map. What's the demographics for Tennessee, just in general? So we also have to keep that in mind, guys. You might not be overly represented in an area in income, but that might only be because you are just not naturally represented in that area because of your race and ethnicity. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't make money in that area. It just means that there's not a lot of people with your demographics living in that area right now.